we thank you. Sheila, your story was so powerful. So powerful. I don't know if she's still in the room or if she had to go, but such a powerful story. And I'm so glad that we keep that. We are going to get us back on track, and we will still be done at 4:15. So all the speakers have been gracious, and we've made some time adjustments. We're now at the point of our schedule where we're going to do Let's Move. So we're full of delicious barbecue brisket and delicious SoCo food, which is short for Southern Comfort Food, and Dippin' Dots. So now we'd like to bring forward, we always do a Let's Move piece, inspired by our former First Lady, Michelle Obama, and also, as Rebecca taught us, movement is medicine. So we have Jay Newsom from Cape Girardeau. Jay is a certified personal trainer and fitness nutrition specialist. She's a Boot Heel native. I love the Boot Heel. She graduated with her bachelor's from SEMO after studying criminal justice. Go Red Hawks. By day, she pursues her passion for fitness and as well as assist families in our community to be protected. She's an independent licensed health, accident, and life insurance agent. There you go, entrepreneurship, there you go. And we didn't mention 20 North, is it 20 North, your facility? I first met her, she has a fantastic venue if you want to have a special event in Cape Girardeau. It's also an art gallery. 20 North is the address. You can share a little bit about that. So she's here with Paris. Is Paris here? Hi, Paris. Wherever you are, hey. So talk to them about all of their business opportunities. But she's going to lead us now with something that works for everybody, no matter what our age and stage is, basic fitness. Thank you.
Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Y'all rather me have a mic?
Yes.
Yeah. See, no hesitation.
How about now?
That's good.
What's up, family? How y'all doing today?
All right, all right.
Something so they can see you.
Okay, well, again, as you mentioned, my name is Jay. Certified personal trainer, certified fitness nutrition specialist. I also co-own 20 North Pacific. It's the first Black-owned art gallery in Cape Girardeau. I co-own that with my beautiful wife there, Miss Paris. Again, certified nutrition specialist, personal trainer. So movement and exercise is big. It's a big part of my life. It's gotten me through a lot of situations, so we don't have a lot of time, so we won't go into all of that. But if you are planning to join me in a Let's Move session, just come to your feet. We'll start getting warmed up. We don't have to do a lot here. We only have about 10 minutes, which to me is perfect. It's not a hindrance or anything because number one excuse that most people, or number one reason / excuse that most people give for not exercising or getting up and moving is they don't have the time. So you'll see firsthand that you don't need a lot of time and or space to get moving, to get your heart rate up a little bit, to get your blood rushing, and to release some of those endorphins. And then after that, I'm gonna go back and enjoy my ice cream. All right, so we're gonna start out with warm-up. Warm-ups are important. So let's start out, just keep our head, just relax your shoulders. Let's go some neck rotations here. Just nice and easy. Warm-ups are really important. You just shouldn't just jump into exercise. Quick and easy way to get injured. Let's go the opposite way. Keep those ears away from your shoulders and relax. I walk around with my shoulders up here, so try to release that tension. Let's go ear to shoulder, just side to side here. Good, and big shoulder rolls. We're going to raise our shoulders up by our ears and roll them forward. All right, let's roll them back. Let's go backwards. All right, and then we're gonna go overhead press. Arms above your head here, reach as high as you can. Let's go both arms, both arms.
Oh, I was following you.
All right, we're gonna reach it out to the sides. All right, good. Maybe stretch those obliques out. When you warm it up, you want to do moves that are going to be similar to what you're going to be doing. In our case, we're just going to move move our body from head to toe. Let's go big hip circles here. Push your butt back as far as you can. Push your hips as far forward as you can. You'll stretch those hamstrings and hip flexors. You get it sitting around. Alright, and then from there, let's go down to our ankles. Let's draw a circle with it. So hold on to some if you need to. Good, let's go the opposite. Let's draw a circle with the opposite.
Look, we both got
Alright, let's go up and down. Foot on the gas. Like pressing the gas.
up and down, up and down.
And then let's roll that same ankle. Let's roll it in and out.
Oh, she going sideways now.
Yeah, your warm-up should be about 5 to 10 minutes. In our case, let's switch it up. In our case, it'll be a little shorter just because we're short all the time. Like I said, you don't need a lot of time. Let's go in the opposite direction. Good, up and down, foot on the gas. Let's roll the same ankle in and out, in and out. Alright, good deal. So we're just going to do some basic movements. Nothing that you guys probably haven't seen before. I am going to demonstrate everything we're going to do. We're going to do what's called a HIIT routine, high intensity interval training. We won't have the opportunity to go that high intensity, but we will do HIIT training. We're going to do 30 seconds on, about 15 seconds off. Again, I'll show you all the moves. I got the timer here. So we're going to start out with just squats. Whenever you're squatting, you want to keep your whole foot on the ground.
I don't think I was backward.
We ain't even started yet. Alright, so whenever you're squatting, you want to push your butt back first and then break your knees and kind of push up over your heels, okay? We're going to start out with some squats. Coming up. 3, 2, 1. Let's knock them out. Let's go squats.
I did that.
Let's just get moving. Go as low
Okay, I
as you
can do that.
comfortably, of course. I see some of you guys got on heels and stuff. Let's keep it here for another 20 seconds or so.
Good
Slow as
job,
you can.
Brina.
Push up through those heels, try to keep your heels on the ground.
Pay for it later.
Sometimes your heels want to come off the ground. Try to make sure you push those heels into the ground. We got 5 seconds. And then we got the rest coming up. 3, 2, 1, and you're resting. We got skaters. So skaters are side to side movements like this, okay? The skater portion of it comes in, when your opposite arm goes down like we're figure skating, okay? It's over here. We got skaters coming up. 3, 2, 1, right here. If you can't get the whole movement, just go side to side, all right? We just move it, y'all. We ain't close. Right. Yeah, that's it. That's enough. That's enough.
Go girl, you got it.
Keep it there for about 15 more seconds.
Work it. I worked off one different guy.
Yeah, I wanted that
One
ice
different
cream.
guy at a
Come
time.
on, ladies. I wanted
3,
that ice cream. Come on.
2, 1. You guys are resting, all right? We got some punches coming up, right? We're gonna go high-low punches. So we're gonna do 4 high, 4 low. So it's gonna look like
Oh, you got
1,
spread
2,
it?
3, 4, squat, 2, 3, 4, okay? Coming up. 3, 2, 1, right here. Let's go. Squat, 2. Good. Just to the beat, right here. Make sure you get low in that squat, low as you can. 15 seconds, halfway through.
That's my squat.
Way to work. 10 seconds. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. We rest. All right. We got what's called reaching for the stars. It's the top part of a burpee. So it's down and up, all right?
Oh, Lord.
All right, we're going low as we can, touching the ground, bending our knees, getting our butt down.
Sideways, we
Reach
going
up, all right?
this way, and
Up.
then we turn.
3, 2, 1. Let's get it right here.
1.
Quick as you can.
That's my birthday.
Good.
I know, right?
We just moving. All right, we already halfway through it. 15 seconds.
Woo, good teamwork. Yay.
We just moving.
We doing it, ladies. We doing it.
5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. You guys are resting. Give some progress.
We did good. We did good. We
All right,
stay
let's
with the
move
movement.
What y'all think?
I think you did good.
Let's do it again then.
Okay, let's sit down in 30 minutes.
All right, next round, we're gonna go, this last round, we're gonna go into a squat. We're gonna step two side, go 2 times each direction, okay? 1, 2. All right, 1, 2. Coming up, all right? 3, 2, 1. Let's get it right here. Stay low. We're just going 30 seconds right here. As low as you can. Good work, y'all. Good work, ladies. 20 seconds.
That's the wobble, man. That's the wobble.
We'll take it. 10 seconds.
You got no how much, girl. That's my once a year.
Let's go. 3, 2, 1. Now, I'm just going to challenge y'all with this one. It's called a full standing squat, and we're going to get out of here, okay? So we're going to go down into a squat. And we're going to touch the ground, okay? We're going to alternate hands. We're going to do this for 30 seconds. We're going to be done. And I'm going to go back to my ice cream, okay? Coming up. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. We're closing out. Touching that ground. Keeping that tension in your legs. You should feel a little burn in your legs. We got 20 more seconds. We're here. Keeping that. Relax the gas. Urging you here. 10 seconds. Right here, last round. We're going to call it after this. 3, 2, 1. You rest.
Why this one seem longer than the
Guys, thank you for giving me the time and opportunity to do this. We'll have some business cards. If you have any questions, feel free to find me, and we'll talk. All right.
Hey, Chrissy, we'll get some loans. Make sure you all have her cards. I've been needing a personal trainer. They pet, they hug, they hug.
One bottle too. One bottle.
All right, so now we're going to switch gears, and our next presenter is Yolanda Simon, another master educator from our community, taught, I believe, social studies and science in the Carbondale school system, but also a native of Cairo, so we're so happy. You should all have a handout with a genealogy and a pencil, not ink pen, but a pencil. So she's going to talk to us about her passion, which is Alzheimer's. She's going to talk to you a little bit about genealogy and why it's so important, especially as it relates to our health, to know our family history. So let's give Jay some extra love first. Woo! She was saying you should feel some burn. I had a wildfire happening. And now let's give some love to Yolanda Simon.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Y'all know that ain't right. How I get to do this after her? That is so not fair. Okay. Since this is a brief, an abbreviated presentation, I just want to say I'm number 11 of 12 children. Same mom, same dad. Yep, I have older siblings old enough to be my mom. I have a nephew that is 9 months younger than I am. And even though I grew up in Cairo, and even though there were lots of us, there were no relatives around us. So we grew up calling different people auntie and uncle and grandma and granddaddy and all that, but they were not our aunts and uncles. And my maternal grandparents were both gone before I was born, and as was my paternal grandfather. And so I asked lots of questions growing up, to the point where I had little pieces of paper where I wrote down things that I asked my mom and dad. I knew that both my parents came from Mississippi, different places in Mississippi, and then both their families moved to Arkansas, different places in Arkansas. They met each other in Missouri, Grand Ridge, Missouri, which is where they met in 1930. And then by 1931, my dad decided he didn't want to be a sharecropper anymore. He didn't like it. They moved to Cairo, he always tells me, and he always told me in a truck, 3 children, and my mom was pregnant. And everything they had was on that truck. My dad was a trucker, and that's how I grew up. And if you can imagine, my dad was pretty determined. He was a determined man. He decided there were certain things that was going to be. So having 8 brothers and 3 sisters, we never lived in the same, all of us never lived together. I grew up with, let me see, 4 of us were at home. So there's a big difference. And so I always ask questions. And so my thing to you is to encourage you to tell your stories, but even more to write it. I was a teacher. I taught, no, Lynn, not science, please. Nor did I teach math, no. I taught literature, social studies.
I was close, Miss.
And then, at my last 6 years, I was dean of students, which is where I really got into storytelling when I met students. So, what I want to tell you, on your second sheet, it says, I come from, do you see that sheet? It says, I come from. Do you have that? Okay. In mine, I don't have it. What does this say?
Introduction.
You see it? I got it. No, I didn't give it to you then. Don't worry about it. The family that I come from, and if we were to do pop things, you know, I come from truckers, or I come from whatever. That is what that was all about. So I don't know how many of you actually grew up with grandparents and other people. And so I always think it cool that when I meet young people, I've met Kimberly a few minutes ago, and she was telling me about her story. It says Kimberly France. I said, oh, have you ever been to France? She said, oh, yeah. And then she started to tell me how she went to France. And of course, my question was, have you written that down? I was like, well, Dr. you know. But when people tell me stories, y'all, you need to write them down. I know that I am here because my forefathers and ancestors were. And once my mom, my dad, my grandparents were gone, even if they told stories orally and no one told them after them, they're gone. When one of the people, one of the older people in your family, we have reunions every 2 years, I always shudder when we go and someone else older has died, because that's an encyclopedia gone. Anything they knew that wasn't written or that someone doesn't remember, nobody knows now. I don't know, maybe it's different for you, but if you have pictures and you look at the picture and you go, who is that? And it looks just like, but you don't know who that is. You have no idea. My brother married a German girl, and they had 2 children. Of course, they divorced. And then years later, 1990, we had a family reunion. I live in Carbondale, and his first wife and his second wife's oldest children both came, knocked on my door, and when they came, I knew the son. I knew Lloyd Jr., but the girl looked like me, except white. Just like me. She could have been my kid. But, you know, with reunions, those are the kinds of things you know. So what I want to do today, get a pencil. This is called a pedigree chart on the first page. You always begin with yourself. So where it says number 1, and you use a pencil because until you're absolutely sure, don't write it in ink. Unless you have like a lot more pages of this sheet. Okay. So number 1, you would write your name in pencil. If you're married or if you've been married, always write your first name, your middle name if you have one, and your maiden name if you are a female.
That is too much.
Okay? If you're a female, always write your maiden name. And then where it puts your birth, and the birth, where you were born, when you died. When you write your birth, my birth date is the 23rd of November. So when you write it, write 23 first. NOV, November, and then the year you were born. Whatever your birth date, that date, then the month, then the 4 numbers of your year you were born. Following that, if I was born in Cairo, then your county, if you know it. So Cairo, comma, Alexander, comma, Illinois. Wherever yours is. Carolyn, would you give this lady one? It's in if she wanted one. So you write your place where you were born, the county, and the state. Got that? And then the rest of it, you will do it the same way. Always write your date, your month, year. Are we ready? Go up. Number 2, that's your father.
Yeah.
And you will write first, middle if he has one, and last name. And you will do it the same way later on when you're going through and filling that out. Then you will do the same thing for the mother. Oh, the spouse number. The spouse. You have the opportunity to write your spouse. If you've been married more than one time, whichever one that you want to put in. You've been married 3 times, choose the one you want to put.
The favorite ex.
She said your favorite ex-husband. I didn't say that. Okay, and you see mother, right? And remember, when you write your mother's name, you're writing her first name, her middle name if she has one, and her maiden name. Always write the women's maiden name. Then go up to number 4. Oh, go to number 4. I just thought my mouth was so big. Go to number 4, and that's your grandfather. That's your father's father. Same way. Are you with me? Number 5 is your grandmother. That's your father's mother.
And you put the maiden name.
Put your maiden name. Always. With the women, do your maiden name. Yes, ma'am.
Who was number 4, grandfather, father?
That's your father's. Everything at the top will have to do with your dad.
Okay.
Everything at the bottom will have to do with your mom. Okay? Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
so I write my grandmother
Yes.
on number 4. Right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Her question was, I was adopted. How would I do that? If you know your adoptive parents, you can do another sheet. Okay? You can do another sheet. And of course, you would just go all the way across the same way. Now, of course, we're not going to do this all today because I only have a short time. But on the back, turn on the back of this sheet. This is one that I gave you this because I use this a lot in my classrooms and our family reunions and even for my grandbabies because I want them to know. And it's a lot simpler, but it's in the same vein. In this one, you're just doing names. And my children, if they see my face, to say, what's your granddaddy's name on Granny's side? Oh, Mom, is this another test? Yeah, what is it? It's just something that you need to know. And I say that because the stories must go on, good or bad. Good or bad. And I tell you that because my mom had Alzheimer's. And you saw me at the Alzheimer's table. That's my passion. My mom died in 2005 with complications of Alzheimer's. And back then, we didn't have the Alzheimer's Association. If we did, Floyd and I didn't know. I was still in Carbondale, and my brother actually took care of my mom. He was so good at it. And then, after she died, 2019, my oldest sister died from Alzheimer's. And now, right now, in 2019, after my sister died, she lived in New Jersey, and I went there when we buried her, and the sister with whom I was staying during the funeral had an appointment, and she went to get her diagnosis, and yes, she has Alzheimer's. So black people, brown people are more likely to get it. Women are twice as likely to get it. That's why it's so important. Knowledge is power, y'all. And before I go on with anything else, I just want you to know that there are things that we can do. You know, I know they have the people on there that say you take this Nuriva and that stuff, and so that does not work. That doesn't work. You can use your money on it if you want to, but that doesn't work. The preventive things that you can do is eating nutritiously. Nope. Fried chicken don't do it. If you're doing it every day, ice cream, that's not good for you. I don't care what diet it is, but I'm just saying, that's what I'm saying. Second thing is exercise. Thank God for Jay. I say, if you just move around your house, it does not fare well for you to be sedentary. Move! And the last thing is to say, stay socially engaged. Talk to somebody. Talk to somebody. So those things are very, very important. And in the venture in something where you want to know more about Alzheimer's, see me. I'll come talk to you for free. You don't have to pay nothing. Okay, moving back to this. That was that's my little plug. One of the things though you find that there's a family unit chart for every one of these names that you have on your pedigree chart. And Terrence was just telling me when he goes home, wherever home is, you have to write your name and who you're married to and all your children. That's what this is. So you will have one of this family unit chart for everybody. If you have children and your children now have children, they will have a family unit chart. So it's really kind of cool that that it goes that way. And then as you're going through doing your research, this GenDoc, that's checking off what you found. Begin by merely asking questions of those around you. That's the easiest way to do it. If you have living grandparents, God help me, great-grandparents who can still think and they're strong, ask them. You have so many things. The first time I ever went to a genealogy class, and I go to one most every semester at John A. Logan, and I found what my daddy was saying on the computer. Oh, in the census, I got up and did the happy dance. I forgot the other people in the room. I was so pleased. I thought, oh, this is really true. But then once you do and you find it, put a check mark. I have that and I can prove that. And once you find it, if you find your grandfather and you didn't know what his mother's maiden name was, whoever the informant was might know, but they might not. But that's just one of the things that you can do. I want to get through, so I don't want to get fired. So the last thing I'm going to tell you is family history is important for your health. I want you to make sure that you understand, talk about what you have going on in your family. I told you about Alzheimer's in mine. Whenever I go to the doctor and they say, do you have problems with heart problems in your family? No. That's what I've always known, no. But then once I started to do my genealogy and I found death certificates, my mom's dad died of mitral regurgitation, which has to do with the heart. My oldest brother had surgery for it last year. I have another brother that has it, and he's been treated in medication. It's one of those things that you need to know. And so if you would be, as you go through and you're looking at this, on the back it has information, but then it has a chart for you to chart things that you know are going on in your family. I always had trouble with birth control because they always asked me if I had anybody with ovarian cancer in my family, and I said no until I found my aunt did. So that's why I quickly had my tubes tied. I know, now I'll get that on the way home. My ultimate thing is, though, it's not enough just to know dates and names. That's the beginning. And I don't try to tell you where to go with ancestry. Ancestry costs. FamilySearch.org, free. If you want to start somewhere, FamilySearch.org, that's free. You can get your account for free. Only thing I like better behind after free is food. FamilySearch.org is free. And you can start your account, but begin by asking questions of those who are around you. And I have a binder, I was gonna show you, I have a big 3-ring binder. And the surnames, I go with my surnames. My maiden name is Johnson, but then my dad's mom's surname was Taylor before she married. And so I have a big binder, and I have little sections in there for all of those names. So if you have questions after we're finished, I'll be more than happy to answer. This is a passion to me, like Alzheimer's. Ask questions in your family. I want to tell you this one little story about my maternal grandmother, who I did know, but I only remember her twice in my life. I was 5 years old, and I can remember her at first. She came to visit us in Carroll, and we had one bathroom. She was brushing her hair. I was sitting on the toilet, and I asked questions. I know it's hard for you to believe that I asked questions, but I did. And I asked her the first question, and she answered, and I said, why? She asked the second question. I asked the second question, and then she answered. I said, why? The third time I answered, she looked at me. She left out the bathroom, slammed the door, and she asked my dad, who the dining room was right next door, and she said, Kurt, where you get this little girl to ask so damn many questions? That's my first memory of her. I don't remember seeing her anymore until I was in the 7th grade. We all went in this one car with my cousin, my dad's cousin, who came to get us to Detroit. That's where she lived. And I remember my dad was 52, and I would never forget him sitting on that first pew with my mom's arm around him, consoling him, and he was crying. And I thought to myself, why is he crying for this mean lady? I know now that was his mother. But the memories that you have, that's what sticks. Tell your children stories. Genealogy is life. Thank you.
That was wonderful. It just gets big. Is this the best conference ever? Best conference ever. Thank you. I learned so much, and it really is important for us to know who we are and keep that going with our children. See Yolanda, I'm sure she will be happy to share with you and give you her contact information, but thank you again. Now I have the pleasure of introducing Miss Marquita Roper. I think she may have a couple of sorors in the house over there. I have really not known you, but we've seen each other because we've been in good circles together. She is an educator with, to me, a very phenomenal program, Upward Bound. She's also a fellow MSW, Mighty Sweet Woman, or Masters in Social Work, take your pick. And she also has a degree in rehab, correct? So very educated, very committed, very passionate about education. Also a member of the Carbondale School Board, so an elected official. So I'm very proud of her on a lot of levels. And I asked her to share, so many of us, of course, have children in our life, and we know that the real antidote to poverty is education, whether it's the trades or whether it's college. So I asked her to just come today and briefly share what do we need to be doing to prepare our children for college. Please welcome warmly Ms. Marquita Roper.
Thank you, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I must say, this is my first time coming to this conference and my first time presenting. When I got the email from Lynn to participate in this conference, I'm like, oh my God, she wants me to present. And then I looked at the title, Our Lives, Our Stories, African American Women's Health Conference, Fresh Start, New Beginnings. So I said, I'm African American woman. This is a fresh start for me speaking in front of a bunch of women. Now, with my program, I obviously speak in front of students, but this is my first time ever presenting. So, new beginnings. I was like, okay, I can do this. So, I'm here. So, I have took it on the task of some of my Millennium students, putting notes in my phone. I don't have the actual PowerPoint today, but we're gonna proceed. So something that I live by, one of my favorite scriptures of many, is Proverbs 22:6. And that's train up a child in the way that he should grow. And when he is old, he should not part from it. And I believe I first heard that, I think it was at a vacation Bible school growing up. And it just kind of stuck with me as I grew up. Growing up in a household of mother, father, I grew up obviously with both parents and older sibling. My brother's 5 years older than me. And I am what's described as a first-generation college student. Of course, I didn't know that growing up because it was instilled in me that you have to go to college. You must go to school. What are you going to be when you grow up? That was something that was instilled in me with my parents as well as my neighbors, who consisted of educated educators. As I stated, I was a first-generation college student, so that means neither one of my parents have a college degree at all. My mom, she did go to college for a little while, and my dad, he is a military vet. So they instilled this in me to go to school, but they didn't go. But I had all these neighbors who, like I said, was educators or educated, and they also were Deltas. So with that being said, I was like, oh, okay, this must really mean something. This going to school. I was an average student. I won't say on camera what type of student I was, but I was average. That's because my kids may be watching, but I was not a person that liked school. And a disclaimer right now, I still do not like school. But I just completed a second master's degree, May 2020, and we have administration. And I just say that not to brag on myself, but to let you know, to let students know, to let kids know that school is not for everyone. School was not for me, but it was something that I decided that I needed to do to be successful in what I wanted to do. So I was a part of career preparation program. I was a part of NAACP Youth Council. I was a part of Upward Bound program and growing up. So my parents kept me involved. So that is one of the key factors today, is to keep your child active. Active in whether that's sports, educated opportunities for them, camps, whatever you can to keep their mind going. Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, you know, there's different things that you can do to keep them involved. Just full circle here. I currently am the coordinator for the Upward Bound program. So I'm an alum of Carbondale, Southern Illinois University Carbondale's Upward Bound program, and I'm now the coordinator for that program. So I am now going out to recruit students for something that I did, something that got me to where I am today, something that helped me get the education that I did today. Okay, so with that being said, just as a parent, because now I'm a parent, and I have 2 children, and just a funny story, the chancellor of SIU, Chancellor Lane, we were at an engagement with the school board. He saw my daughter, she's 8, and he asked her, where do you want to go to school? She said, either Harvard, Howard, or UCLA. And he looked at me like, did she just say Howard, Harvard, or UCLA? I said, she did. I said, and those are her colleges of choice. He's like, now I'm gonna blame you because she didn't say SIU in there. But I didn't go to SIU. I went to SIU's E for my undergrad, but I did come back and I got my 2 masters from SIUC. But she's 8. Now my 14-year-old son, we're still working on him. He wants to go to college, that's a plus. But he doesn't know where or what he wants to do career-wise. And thanks to Dr. McStuffin, my daughter knows what she wants to do career-wise. She wants to be an engineer. So, with that being said as well, keep them involved, keep them active. As a parent, be proactive. Know your student, your child's counselor at the school. Know your child's teachers. Don't just wait until parent-teachers conference to go and engage with your child. Engage with the student, with your child, as well as the teachers prior to those days. I can't say there's not one student in the district prior to me being on the board that don't know who I am as a parent. And that's because I stayed involved, whether that was in the classroom, bringing treats, of course, on the holidays and different things, birthdays, and also just in the know. I want to know what's going on with my child. I want to know what they did today. Not just from my child, because they'll tell me, sometimes. But I also want to know from the teacher what it is that they're learning, what it is that I need to do as a parent to help my child learn. And I think now, in this day and age, a lot of times our children are learning from these and these laptop computers. Now, obviously with the pandemic, we really didn't have a choice, but even before then, Google, I tell my kids, they know about encyclopedias. We have a dictionary in our household. We have those tools that are not just readily available on a phone, on a device, electronic device. It's a book that you have to open up, you have to look at, you have to read. So keep those things as well available to them in the household. Also, get involved. A lot of schools, they do have PTO. We also have, and I can speak for our district in particular, we have a board for, not a board, but it's a group, a subcommittee group that is for parents and teachers to be involved in. Get involved in those, not when it's a problem. Get involved just so you can know what's going on, to sometimes help curb some problems. Okay, I can say, there's a lot of times where, even in parent-teacher conference, and we know that's coming, there's no interaction. There's no parents signing up for those particular meetings. Now, let it be an athletic event or something of that nature. We have everybody cheering our kids on, and not to say that you shouldn't be at those, but at the same time, be there for the education part. I can't express how important that is. And also, listen to the teachers as well. Granted, we are our advocates for our children, and we should be, but sometimes, we have to put things aside and listen to what the teachers bring to us about our child, because they may be different in the classroom. A lot of times they are different in the classroom, so listen to what they have to say. My son's guidance counselor just went into high school. This is his freshman year. Before she even met with him, I spoke to her. She had a very clear picture of who my son was, not just by his name, but by who I see him as a parent and as previous teachers have saw him as a student. I shared that information with her, and that's important. She didn't even ask all these questions. I gave the information to her willingly, because I want to be able to help in any way that I can to help my son. And if you're not there to get that information to help as a parent, to help your child, then it's hard for the educators. It's hard for them to meet the kids where they're at, because sometimes they don't know. They only see the way that child comes into their classroom or what they heard from previous teachers. You are the best advocate for your child. So you have to be that advocate for your child. Another thing, prepare your children for college. Scholarships. As mentioned, I am a part of a sorority, And I'm the chair of the scholarship committee. So we offer a $1,000 scholarship every year to to a senior, in Jackson County, well, Carbondale High School particularly. And every year that I've been on this committee, we've struggled with, and even before, we've struggled with students just applying for scholarships. We had 2 applicants. Out of, I wanna say, I received a list, because they have to have a 2.5 GPA, African American. I received a list of 35 students from Carbondale High School that met that criteria, and only 2 students applied for our scholarship. So it's money out there. They're paying kids to go to school nowadays, to college. And I understand college is not for everybody. That was me. College wasn't for me, but I did it. Okay, there's also trades out there. My husband is a carpenter. He doesn't have a degree. So just do something. We have to keep our kids engaged. They are our future. We have to keep them involved in something. And if we don't do that, as parents or grandparents, guardians, who's best to do it? Who's going to take care of those children? Who's going to take care of our children if we don't? So there's institutions out there that will take care of our children if we don't.
That's right. The
And
streets.
they're building more and they're filling up, and they're all around here. Okay, so just a small little plug for Upward Bound. Like I said, I'm the coordinator for the program. We serve 6 schools in the county, well, in the southern region, and that's Ullen, which is Century, Mounds, Meridian, Cairo High School, Tams, Egyptian, Murfreesboro, and Carbondale. We recruit 13 to 18-year-old students. You have to either be first generation or meet the income guidelines set by the government to be a part of our program. I'm constantly recruiting. We're housed on SIU campus, but I am out at the schools at least twice a month. So I don't see my office too much. I'm usually out at the schools recruiting. And that was prior to the pandemic, but that's what I do. We have a 6-week program in the summer where the students come on campus, have a college experience, they live on campus, they have classes, they use the recreation center, they have meal cards, eat in the student center, so it's basically living like a college student as a high school student. We take them on college tours at the end of the summer, usually to some HBCUs. The last trip we went on was to Dallas, Texas. They also got to go to the Dallas Cowboys Stadium, and that was just to learn about the engineering of the building and how the building was actually built. So that was a STEM component that we tied into their summer trip. So there's different things that we do in the program. We have academic sessions on Saturday as well, where they come and they do math, science. They also get help with current homework or anything that they have that they bring. We provide, everything is paid for by us through a federal grant. So with that being said, stay active, stay proactive, and stay involved. Thank you.
Her first time presenting. Give her some like a seasoned professional, Ms. Roper. Russ, can we do the last PSA? We have one more public service announcement. Again, we are promoting and advocating for us to be vaccinated. That is how COVID will be conquered. Amen?
Amen.
And You guys might remember him. He's been in lots of schools in our community. He's a motivational speaker and an international recording artist, a friend, Dr. Ferris Hill. And he wrote a song called Remember What Your Mama Said, and he has shifted that now to promote vaccinations.
Hello, this is Dr. Ferris Hill. The recording of this song called Remember What Mama Said, and a song called Let's Come Together. I'm in my favorite place, the music store, and I just wanted to do this video to just say to everyone out there, if you haven't got vaccinated yet, please get the shot. Not only will it protect your life, but it'll also protect somebody else's life, and that's what it's all about. How much do you value life? How much do you value the life of other people? So let's come together, let's work together, and you know what? Let's give it our best shot, you know what? To take care of each other. So, you know what? Get that vaccination shot as soon as you can. Remember what Mama said. Mama said, go ahead, do what's right. God bless.
Let's give Ferris some love. And so that was the third public service announcement that we have produced. So take them, use them, please post them on your social media. I now have the pleasure of introducing Dr. Jean Hunleth. Dr. Jean reached out to me because we also work very hard to engage the community, as you see here today. She is a medical anthropologist. So now I know a knight and a medical anthropologist. I am so hot. She's had lots of public health training and professional experience working in global health. Her research focuses on the experience of caregiving and treatment seeking for infectious and chronic diseases in Africa, specifically in Zambia and also in the United States. Her interests especially are children's experiences of and response to illness, medicine, and health programming. She's going to talk to us about cancer prevention, sharing stories, and improving care through photojournaling. Please welcome warmly Dr. Jean Hunleth. Oh yes. Do we have her slides for us that we could?
Yeah, we emailed yesterday.
Okay.
Well, thank you all for inviting me here. Lynn, it's such an honor to have been invited. Just what I've heard has been excellent. As I'm waiting for my slides, I'll say Yolanda. I've been thinking about my ancestors a lot today, and that was such a great, I come from people from Southern Illinois, and so driving through here, I was thinking of my ancestors. My father-in-law, who passed away several years ago, was the son of a sharecropper, and he wrote his story before he passed, and it's one of the most meaningful things we have from him. I have a kid who just went to kindergarten, and so hearing from Marquita was great. Lots of lessons I need to learn there. All right, looks like I am up. Is there
It looks like Carbondale is screen sharing it, so you can just say next slide if you want.
okay, sounds perfect. And can you give me the center view, Russ? Well, we're going to try to speed this up anyway. So.
Tell me when to go forward, I'll go.
Okay.
Tell me when to go forward, and I'll go forward.
Okay, sounds good. Well, as Lynn said, I'm an anthropologist. You can go back first. Although people can look at those pictures. I'm an anthropologist, and that means many things to many people. But to me, it means I'm a listener. I listen to people's stories. And there is such power in stories. As you all know, I don't need to tell you our lives, our stories, and the stories I've heard here are powerful. And so I've been listening to stories for a couple of decades now, from young people in Zambia to elders, and trying to even advance. Down. Oh, I can advance it. Fantastic. Can I put it in a presenter?
I've never done a PowerPoint.
That's
Well,
not
you know what?
powerful.
Let's improvise. It's fine. So I'm a listener of stories, and
something where you can see the slides?
Well, you know, it'd be nice to see my notes, but it's okay, it doesn't matter, we're gonna speed this up.
Okay.
So, stories are powerful, right? In my book, I talked to young children about their stories of living and growing up with parents and guardians who were sick with tuberculosis and HIV. And it was the first time in the global health TV world that anybody had listened to children and their stories. And it's making a difference in how we treat kids who come from families with people who are sick. But I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about, well, can you get it out of the prison review though? Nobody needs to see my notes.
Yeah, just 1 second.
I'm here to talk about a project that we have going on where we're listening to stories on colon cancer screening at Washington University. So I'm inviting you all to consider joining our project and telling your story about colon cancer screening or supporting someone through colon cancer screening through using photography. And at this point, when I say that with colon cancer screening, anybody received a colonoscopy, people are usually like, what? I'm telling a story through what? But, okay, here. We're all set. Perfect. But I want you to bear with me, and I'm going to speed it up. But what we need to know first is the stories are powerful because there are some ways of changing your risk for cancer. And experts have talked about the recommendations. First off, 1.9 million people in the US are going to get diagnosed with cancer just this year. And the top sites of cancer for women are breast, lung, and colon. This is scary, but it doesn't define our story, right? There are many ways that we can change our risk for cancer. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the 8 ways, but then I'm going to show you that that's just the beginning. Scientists, doctors can talk about these 8 ways of improving their health, but they don't know what it's like to be in your everyday life, what it's like to do those. Russ, I can't. You can just advance it. So, in full disclosure, I'm with Siteman Cancer Center, and they put out these guides for 8 ways to change your risk of cancer. And we have many guides. I'm going to talk through the original one, which is General 8 Ways, which actually Yolanda talked through with me, so we can speed through it really fast. We have the first one's maintaining a healthy weight. The second one's exercising regularly, not smoking. Lynn, you're going to put these up on the website so we can have all the information up there.
Yeah.
Eating a healthy diet.
And you can hold the microphone.
Oh, fantastic. There we go. Technology, it's a Saturday, right? Drinking alcohol in moderation, this is so much better. Now, you don't have to drink alcohol, but if you do, scientists have shown that 1 drink probably won't increase your risk of cancer, so that's fine. Protecting yourself from the sun, and protecting yourself from sexually transmitted infections. HPV is a sexually transmitted infection, and the good news is we have a vaccine for that now for our young people. It works best before you're sexually active, but you can also get it at an older age. Just have to see if insurance covers it. And get screened. Get screened for, there's several cancers that it's really effective to get screening, and one of those is colon cancer. Of all the 8 ways that we have in the brochures, the single best way to protect yourself from colon cancer is getting screened. The recommendations are starting at age 50, but they've changed those recommendations to 45 this year. Insurance hasn't caught up with that, so you want to ask your provider about that. But hopefully it'll catch up, because there's been a lot of people, particularly a lot of people in the African American community, that have been pushing for younger screening because they've seen colon cancer at a younger age. So there's a number of ways to get tested. Colonoscopy is the most common one. I want to stop right here and say, what do you think when you see 8 ways recommendations? Can you shout out a word?
Recommendations.
Fiber? Did somebody say fiber? That's awesome.
Moderation.
Moderation, yeah. I think hopeful, right, that we can change things, but I also think hard too, because sometimes getting exercise, eating healthy, getting screened isn't easy. And colonoscopy in particular requires a lot of people. If anybody's done a colonoscopy, you know, or help somebody through a colonoscopy, to schedule the appointment, do the prep to clean yourself out. You've gotta, everybody loves the prep, right? You can't eat. You have to take time off work or your daily activities if you watch your kids or your grandkids. You have to arrange transportation. You can't drive yourself home after that sedation. And there's more, and we have seen significant inequities. Since the invention of colonoscopy, the inequities have grown because it's just very difficult to get screened for some people. And so we have noticed at WashU these significant disparities in hotspots. One of those is in North St. Louis, a racially segregated area, where there's been a lot of disinvestment, a lot of hospital closures, and we have worked hard to build partnerships with people in that community, in those communities, and to ask them what they need from us to make these 8 ways possible. And so one of the things they told us about 11 years ago, 12 years ago, is that you need the stories from the people who live in these in our area to see what it's like to go through a colonoscopy for them. And it's not, the recommendation isn't always that easy. So we decided to study, and we thought we'd use Photo Voice because we put out so many images at Siteman and WashU, and none of those images are created by the people who we're talking to. And we wanted the people in the communities around WashU to really create the images and tell us what their stories were. This was a lot of fun. This was in 2012 and 2013, so a long time ago. We worked with 3 groups. You can see me here when I was a blonde. We talked to people took pictures, and we talked about colon cancer screening, but we talked about everything else that goes on in your life that makes living a healthy life easier, difficult, and meaningful. And so we spent a lot of time talking about photos and using photos as a starting point for telling a story. And we use those stories, they develop those stories, and we use them at exhibitions and receptions to tell policymakers, medical doctors what their experience was, and to educate the people in power. So this is a photo from our reception with some directors of Siteman and an MD looking at the stories that people were telling of getting screened. I want to tell a couple of the stories. Anna, there were a lot of stories in the sessions about financial hardship, and Anna talked about getting a divorce and not having insurance, and this affected so many things in her life, and affected her ability to get a colonoscopy because she really worried about the bills. And we heard a lot about unexpected medical bills. Millie put a different angle on the cost, and she said, I had to work a double the day before my colonoscopy. And if anybody knows what it takes to do the prep, you know what Millie was going through. And she was a housekeeper. And so that made me hungry, and I got to eat when I'm working that hard. I told the doctors I ate a sandwich. They took me anyway. I did the whole thing, but they couldn't accept it because I wasn't cleaned up. So I really panicked. I said, oh, I messed that up. There were so many things that resonated with me about Millie's story, and the one thing that was really hard to see is that she blamed herself. It was not her fault. She didn't mess up. It was a system that wasn't made for her. So this was an important educating moment for the doctors to hear about what their patients went through, and so they don't blame them. And she had to go back and get a repeat colonoscopy. We also heard, and this is why I'm here, about support. Yolanda mentioned support and social support. People in the study said so many things helped them, but most of all, it was the people in their lives that supported them, that helped them. This John put his girlfriend's name up in the bedroom wall, and she helped him. She made sure I went to the doctor to get my colonoscopy. All they did, she stuck with me. And she ended up joining our colon cancer partnership too, which was really amazing to support him. Angela, I'm not going to show a picture of Angela's sister for confidentiality and because she was wearing her nightgown. But this is the Serenity Prayer that meant so much to Angela. She had been addicted to painkillers and other narcotics, and she had just gotten clean when we met her. And she was saying, my doctor advised me to have a colonoscopy. I refused at first, but after many family discussions, I took the test. And she took the test without sedation because she was concerned about her addiction. And she said, that's my sister, and she was very supportive when I went to have my colonoscopy. She kept up with the time, and she did most of the prep mixtures. She made sure I ate a good meal the day before. So you can see the lengths that people were going through to get colonoscopies that were just not recognized by the people at the doctors and policymakers at our institution. The need to really support people. And of course I talk about the reception and the exhibition as important for educating people of power, but also it was super meaningful to the families. This is Angela's mother who came to see her poster, and the family had helped her with her health for so long, and her making the poster meant so much. You can't see this, but she's crying looking at it. The group told me many things. I learned so much from them, and we've been instituting some changes that they told us we needed to do, especially around communication with doctors and financial support. But there's been one thing that they told me that I haven't been able to act on. And they said, when you do another photo project, you need to include the supporters, because we need to hear what they go through. It's not always easy to give support. It's not always easy to ask for support, and support can be very critical and often taken for granted by medical professionals. So fast forward to now, we have this project to improve systems for getting people to colonoscopies in Southern Illinois, getting fit tests and improving screening rates. And this is at the clinic, and what we're hearing from the clinics is the support's important, but the clinicians are assuming that people have support, and they aren't sure what's going on in people's everyday lives that helps them get there. And so I asked the National Cancer Institute to give us some money to get their stories. And so I'm inviting you all to join our Picture and Support study, which we have just initiated. Picture and Support is going to have about 20 people who we consider supporters. That could be a friend, family member, community member, anyway, if you define yourself as a supporter, you're welcome to join our study. And 20 patients, so we can hear their stories of support. If you're getting the colonoscopy, we'd love to have the story of going to get the colonoscopy, so we can hear somewhat in real time what you're going through. My husband got a colonoscopy last year, and I can tell you there were so many things I would forget to tell you now, but that were just a challenge. But you can also have recently gotten a colonoscopy. Lives in Southern Illinois. Unfortunately, we love those group meetings, but we're going to have to do it over Zoom because of the pandemic. And photo taking between interviews. Now, we'll provide cameras for you to keep. We also know that your time is valuable, and we will provide some incentives for monetary incentives for participating in each session. So that is trying to advance, but I can't. That's it for Picture and Support. We sent around some flyers. I would love to hear your story and invite you to tell your story. Oh, here we go. I also have another study, and that's close to my heart, that's going on with young people and hearing how they're experiencing health in their communities. And this is a photo study too. This is actually a video, but I don't want to go over my time because I know Marilyn is waiting. But I can send, sorry Marilyn, I can send the link to share. The video is a cartoon aimed at young people, telling them about the study and what it will take to participate. So thank you everyone for listening to me talk, and I appreciate your attention and staying over time. And I'm going to give this over.
Thank you so much. Anybody have any quick questions for Dr. Hunley? I do encourage everyone to talk to her, especially talk to that young man about his story. He's the one that I told you about that left. And I think Ms. Roper will be very instrumental for the youth study too. So, and then Rebecca is a physician's assistant at Chessie. So I think those folks will be great contacts. All right, thank you again. She drove all the way down from St. Louis to be with us, so we really appreciate that. All right, last but certainly not least, I've asked Marilyn, let me do a door prize or two. But you know what, there's so many people that are gone. I think what we're gonna do is just, if you take out some scratch paper and just write your names, and we're gonna do it by names at this point, because so many of you are gone. And then we're gonna do a little trivia quiz. So we'll collect those and do that to give the rest of the door prizes away. So Marilyn Green, Marilyn has been a friend for a long time. Her day job is she works with the Illinois Department of Public Health, but she has always been concerned for the people of Alexander and Pulaski County. And we just want to say thank you for that in that role. But she's also a businesswoman. And I have been really working here at the college with the Small Business Development Center to help minorities and women to grow and expand their business. And again, so excited, Kadrina Jones, the barbecue. This was her first event, her first bringing her business out, yay! And she will be a success story for our center. So with that, we have brought Marilyn on as faculty for the trainings that we're doing for minority business people. So I want you to just get a taste of this wise, wonderful woman and think about a financial fresh start. There's no reason with the talent in this room that any of us should have to be worried about money. Amen? Amen. But and this actually I got from Ferris, you know, when you work for other people, they tell you exactly how much you're gonna make. They set your salary. But when you're a CEO and an entrepreneur, when I started my business 20 years ago on September the 1st, I've been self-employed. I immediately saw my potential and promoted myself to CEO the first week. Y'all will get that on the way home too, right? So, but anyway, long story short, financial fresh start, women in entrepreneurship. Please welcome my friend, Marilyn Green.
All right. I feel like running up there like this.
Pulling them up, huh? That's not mine. She's
So anyway, it was just too much.
We have to forfeit.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, thank you so much, Lynn Chambers. I appreciate that. But nevertheless, I'm Marilyn Green, and it's kind of hard to come after Colin. Okay. After Colin. Okay, but I've had one before, Doc, so you know, and then you talked about it and it's horrible, and I started getting that traumatic thing going on. It's like I need therapy. But anyway, it's kind of hard to come in after the last speaker. You know, it's like the last leg on the relay. You gotta talk fast, you gotta run fast, you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to get you guys out of here, I promise, okay? So my speech is about, 4 or 5. I got a few pages here that I'm going to go through. And so with that, I want you guys to stand up for me. I know you've been through Jay's movement. So just stand up for a minute, all right? Put your hands out like this. Okay, then hug yourself because I know you're glad you're almost at the end. But nevertheless, okay, then I need you to shake yourself a little bit, okay? All right, now, okay? So one fact, I am a Zumba diva, okay? So at any rate, you can sit back down now. I appreciate that. Okay, so I want to say thanks to Lynn Chambers and the Legacy Training for inviting me. Special thanks to Dr. Greg Mason, and everybody knows Greg, okay, pretty much. So pretty excited about Shawnee Community College having me here today. Again, I'm Marilyn Green, CEO, J&Y Consulting. Okay, so just a little plug, we do comprehensive grant writing services. Grant writing, grant reviewing, grant researching. I also do strategic planning and administrative business services. So if you want to start your business off, I can help you out with that, all right? Okay, let's get started. So I'm supposed to talk about fresh start, fresh beginnings, financial fresh start, women and entrepreneurship. So here's the first question. How many, by show of hands, have said, I have this great idea and I want to do something? How many people did that? Okay? Got this super great idea, you know it's good, and you're like, I want to make it great. I know y'all have. If you don't raise your hand, you still got one. Okay, so then in the same breath, no show of hands, you say, that is too hard. Oh, I said no hands. Okay. I don't know what to do. What if I fail? Okay. I need someone to help me. Then finally you just continue to watch TV and you let it drop. Okay? Well, I want to talk to you about some actions you need to do to convince yourself, and I'm talking about myself, to stop looking at Netflix, okay? And get on your road to financial fresh start. Okay, so financial fresh start begins with you, okay? And you alone. Your will, your determination, your dedication to yourself, and most important, your belief in yourself. So it all starts with you. So I have 3 words that I'm going to give you guys so you can take home. And as they say in the church, I won't be before you long. Y'all know what that means. Okay, you get another 50 minutes. Anyway, so when you stood up, you sat back down in the same chair, but you were not in the same position, okay, as you were before. So the first take-home word is reposition, okay? So you might not know this about me because you don't know me, but I love sharks, okay? And one of the reasons why I like sharks is because they cannot figure out what a shark gonna do. Y'all know it. Sometimes they gonna kill a bunch of people and sometimes they don't do anything, you know, so you don't know. So I love sharks, so I always look at Shark Week. And one of the most profound things that I heard this year was that, you know how you see those pictures, great pictures of the great white sharks, they be jumping out of the air and they catching their prey. Have you ever seen one of those before? And it's a beautiful, I love sharks, so it's beautiful for me, okay? Whatever he killed, I don't know, he or she. But guess what? The one person said, and if you see a shark in the water, you see these little bitty fish always going along with them, you know, just be following them everywhere. They said one of the reasons why the shark would jump out the water was to get rid of some of those parasites, okay? So that's the reposition that you're gonna need to do. And so ask yourself, who you swimming with? I love this, my woo-hoo. You maybe need to jump in the air and get rid of some of those people, okay? And then that way you can have that financial fresh start. You can start that business off, get rid of them. Jump in the air, do something, okay? So number 2, the next word is renewing. Once they're gone, all your parasites, all your haters, all your secret haters, okay? All your family, sometimes, all your so-called friends, okay? Once you do that, allow yourself to lean and move forward with your financial fresh start. Talk to yourself only, okay? Just get somewhere quiet and start to talk to yourself only to help you to level up and believe in yourself and push yourself enough to say, I can do this. And I do have a product or a service that I can add to my financial fresh start, okay? But you gotta get quiet, you gotta get still, you know, and find out, you know, in the Bible it talks about be still and know that He is God. And you be still and know that God is talking to you. I think the lady, I forgot her name, she was up about human trafficking. She was talking about how she got quiet and she was smoking a cigarette, that's it. And she said, you know, okay? Remember said, you know, that voice, you know. So you're gonna be listening for a small, deep voice to tell you how to move forward, okay? So you got to get to renewing of your mind. That's the biggest part. So when I started my business in 2013, right? But I had it in my belly since 1998. And I'm like, wow, I've had this a long time. Yeah. But guess what? I believed in my product and I believed in myself. So one of the biggest things I had to do, as I've talked about before, is that I had to really almost get rid of myself and my thinking and all that to get past myself, okay? Sometimes you have to re-identify yourself, okay? Because where you are now and you're not fulfilling your dreams or anything, you gotta look at it. It's been some identity theft. It's really not you, okay? Because you've always wanted that bakery. You've always wanted this, you always wanted that, and you always say, well, guess what? I'm gonna wait till I retire. I'm gonna wait till the kids get out. I'm gonna wait till they in kindergarten, and you say, I'm gonna wait till you get out of college, you know. I'm just gonna wait. Does that sound kind of familiar to some people? Say, I'm gonna wait till I get finished with everything. But guess what? We all know there's no good time and there's no great time. It's just jump in and start. So in 2013, I decided to launch out and I did it. What have I done so far? I pivoted. Now, I started off with my 2 sons with a corporation, and just last week we had an urgent board member and I pivoted and I just kicked them out, okay? I kicked them out, and don't be afraid, that's not a word, but it's a pivot. Don't be afraid to kick people out or get rid of them, you know? And I did that. It did hurt a little bit, yeah, it did, but nevertheless, I did it. So guess what? Now I'm gonna be a one-woman corporation. I told them, sell me back all your shares, okay? Give me all your shares back, okay? Because I was building that for them, but I really wasn't building for myself. Okay, so I have done some pivoting just last week, you know, and they look and I think they all up in their feelings, and I think they're a little salty with me, but nevertheless, I had to pivot because I got that dream, okay? So when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about people that you're around. Let's go back to the first one, represent people that you're around, you know, you may need to change it. Change the channel, you know, you don't want to hear from them. Put your phone on, do not disturb. You know, anything of that nature, that's what you have to do to move forward. It's not easy, but you can do it, okay? The last word is refresh, okay? Now, let's think about refresh, all right? You heard people say something like, when you add a new page, refresh your page. What's that little arrow? Y'all know that little arrow, they go like this or stuff like that, right? They say, okay, so meaning you're looking at your computer, right? However, somebody adds something in, especially on Google. When you're dealing with Google Docs, Google and all that, they can add stuff in and you don't even know it. And you say, well, I don't see that, I don't see that. Well, guess what? They say what? Refresh your page, okay? And sometimes you're looking at yourself and you need to refresh your page. Okay? You need to look for the things that you haven't been seeing the same way. You've been looking too long in the same place and not refreshing your page. Okay? It doesn't mean, I'm not saying leave your husband. I'm not saying leave your wife. I'm not saying leave your kids. Okay? I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that refresh. Okay? Refresh yourself, and maybe I keep saying about get away from people. That's really what I'm talking about here, okay? You may have to separate from people, okay? Find a mentor. Find a mentor, and don't be so prideful to say, well, I don't want her to know that I'm that dumb, okay? Maybe she already know you that dumb, okay? Think about it. Maybe she already know you that dumb. Think about it, y'all. But come on now, baby. Come on. We already know you dumb. This is go there. But it's the pride of not asking them. It's not hurting you. You know, what does Joyce Meyer say? When you do things, you know, I talked about, I forgot how she phrased it, but it's just like taking poison. When you're envious and jealous and all that, you're taking poison and hoping somebody else dies. Okay? So you have to say, I need to find that mentor. One of the best mentor sources, and I'm from East St. Louis, I'm in St. Clair County, but like Lynn say, I really be pulling resources and funding down here, unbeknownst to you all, but I do, okay? But nevertheless, the, what is they call it, the Small Business Development Center, y'all got it right here. Okay, I recently had a grant writing class, only 2 people showed up, I think it was 2. The class is absolutely free. Okay, so guess what I say? You guys need to understand that you need to do 3 things, okay? Okay, let me go back. So here it is all together. So now that you have a takeaway to move you, to reintroduce yourself to you, okay? Don't let that dream fail based on your own self. You are the biggest sabotagers, okay? One person told me I was my worst employee. I'm like, really? What that mean? But he really hurt me because he was right. But it made me, push me to say, you need to do better, Marilyn. You need to really push, your own product and your own service. Okay, so this is what it is. Reposition, move it. All right? Renew, get your mind together. Okay? Then hit refresh. The refresh button so you can see your world a different way. All right? One more time. Everybody say it with me. Reposition. Reposition. No, I don't want to hear it like y'all ready to go. Okay? Reposition. Reposition. Okay, one more time. Give you one more time. I'm sick of this. Okay? Reposition. Reposition. That's it. Okay? Then the next one, I'll give you really ready for this one. Renew. Renew. That's what I'm saying. Y'all get it together. And the last one is press that button and refresh. There you go. Thank you so much for your time. I'm Marilyn Briggs. Thank you.
Yeah, that's all right now. Does anybody have any questions?
I want it.
Okay, I will then, since you made
Yeah, anybody got questions?
When is the next?
Okay, so hold on, I'll pass the mic around.
Okay, go for it.
Next
Grant writing class. I do not know, but Dr. Greg, he knows.
I can answer, unless Brett is here. What you need to do is email Dr. Greg Mason, gregm@shawneecc.edu.
Yeah, something like
and
that.
request it, and we can give Marilyn any time, but he needs to know that there's interest.
Thank you. Anybody else got a question?
Yeah.
What is it? Okay.
You answered it. When will the next grant writing seminar be?
That's what she's talking about. But look, like I said, go to the resource that you have here, okay? For me, living in Illinois, I got to go across the water to St. Louis just to get what you guys got right here in your back door. And they give a whole lot of classes. But you guys need to sign up for my grant writing class. Tell them, Lynn, what they said.
It was excellent. The 2 that came were excellent. They learned a lot. I was in that world for a long time, and she's an excellent trainer. Grant writing is a lot of work. That's why I don't do it anymore, because I don't have the time. But here you've got a great resource.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to see you next. I want to see y'all. Each one of y'all see y'all faces.
If you want, go ahead. If you do like a little sign-up sheet that you're interested, I'll make sure Greg gets it. So if you give me, write it down on a piece of paper. Anybody that's interested in Marilyn's class, I will make sure. Thank you, lady.
Okay, no, thank you.
I will make sure that he gets the information. All right.
Okay, the Zoom audience leaves us at 4:15.
Someone moved my notes.
And Lynn, if they want to get in touch with any of the presenters, how do they reach them?
That's a good question. So
Later on your website, they can have like a list of their names and
Yes.
information.
We're going to ask Terrence to upload all of the PowerPoints, so all of the presenters, if it's okay with you, your PowerPoints will be posted on the Legacy Training Inc. website. It will also be posted on our YouTube channel, the whole conference today. He's been recording. If anyone does not want to be on camera or their photos or whatever, please let me know, but otherwise, this is documented for posterity. I hope you've networked and exchanged numbers and all of that good stuff. Hope you've met some new friends. All right, so let's see how well you paid attention. All right. Who can finish this quote for me? Raise your hand. I'm acknowledge the first hand I see. Rachel Jones, a quote I picked up from her. Your superpower is. That's close.
No one is you.
That's it. No one is you. Okay, Lynette, go pick out a prize. You got that one. Dr. Arnold said, you don't have to believe in science, but.
Science gonna knock you down.
Girl, look at her. Lynette is like rocking it. All right, here's another one from Dr. Arnold. What did we learn about the Tuskegee experiment? I learned something today I've been thinking wrong all along. They weren't injecting. They actually did what?
They withheld penicillin.
They just didn't treat it. Have you won anything today, sister?
Yes, I have.
You have? Well, we're
next person.
We're doing that. From Marquita, what are one of 3 tips that she gave us to get our kids ready for college?
Stay involved.
Stay involved. Scholarships.
And be active with your kids. And
Being active.
And about scholarships.
Don't always believe that your kid is an angel. She didn't say it this way, but I'm gonna say it. Don't always believe that your kid's a perfect angel when they're not with you. Work with that teacher. Be involved. Okay. Who hasn't won anything already? Okay, so if you rate, yes, sister, you got to answer right. This sister here, yes. Don't get some from the table. Yes, ma'am. All right. We want everybody to leave with something. All right. Okay, from Nancy's presentation, we learned about the keto diet, right? Yes. So what is the super vegetable that Nancy discovered? Cauliflower. Everybody got that one. From Genealogy and Health. Actually more about Alzheimer's. Who's more at risk for Alzheimer's? Women or men? Women. People of color or the majority color? People of color. Y'all were really good. All right, what was the free website she gave us? Not Ancestry.com. What did she give us? FamilySearch.com. Who hasn't gotten anything yet? Stand up if you haven't gotten anything. All right.
She said
Sandy. Miss Kim, raise your hand. Chrissy's gonna bring you something. All right, from our colonoscopy presentation. All right. We learned 8 ways to prevent cancer. Give them to me, y'all.
Diet,
exercise, fruit, don't smoke. Does that include marijuana? I'm just asking. I'm a social scientist before I was a lawyer. I'm just asking. Drink in moderation. What's moderation for women? One drink a day. Now, is that when I buy a bottle of wine instead of straw in it, drink, or is that a one drink? Okay, so standard drink. All right. Very good. Okay, please do your evaluation. Please do your evaluation. They're in your green packet. Be brutally honest with us, because that's the only way that we get better. All right? What are your thoughts? We really would like to know about theme. I know, Arlene, you have put on the table pink, I believe, for a color.
I'm sorry.
Every year we do a color theme. I was asked several times about green. Green is signifying fresh start, new beginnings, new growth, and transition, right? When a plant comes up, it's green. So that's why we went with green this week, this year. But if you have thoughts for colors, if you have thoughts for themes, we will be 12 years old next year. The date to remember is August the 20th, so please save your date. And I'm gonna throw out another challenge. Try to bring someone who's at least 10 years younger than you. We really want this to be intergenerational. The mean age of our conference is usually around 47, which is all good in the hood, but we also want to reach back. So this conference is really for 18 and up. So get some of those 20-somethings in. And if you guys would like to do something maybe for the men, maybe we could have like a small mini meeting for them. I don't know what y'all did with your husbands and your boyfriends today. Since I don't have any anymore, I don't know these things. But if y'all would like to do something to include men, we're open to that. If you would like to be a part of anything that Legacy does, most of you have my contact information, but if not, I will be happy to give it to you. Anything else for the good of the order? We have extra bags. We don't want to take anything home. We've got several items in the silent auction that there were no bids on. If you see anything over there you like, please make me an offer, and I'm sure you can take it home with you. I want to thank Kim France. I hope you guys had the opportunity to speak with her about your medications or about your health. Kim, wave your hand. Thank you. Thank you so much for being with us. Rebecca for doing the blood pressure checks. Just everybody. The board of directors, Julia Thrower, Sandy Pullitt is a volunteer and an advisory board member. Connie Young Hunt, is she still here? Okay. Stephanie Fisher.
She's in the back.
She's in the back. Carolyn Dumas, Christy Davis. Who else is here? Rebecca Bogan. So again, these ladies work very, very hard year round to make this come to fruition. So thank you again. Anything else? Terrence, did I forget anything?
Oh, just leave their evaluations on the table?
Yes, leave your evaluations on the table. Please take the National Geographics, and we have lots more if you really like them, but please take those. We'd appreciate it. All right. Esther Mead did the decorations today, did a beautiful job, Esther.
Amen.
If you're still on the line. All right, sign up for Dr. Jean's study. It's a good thing. I'm gonna sign up, so it's a good thing, all right? All right, with that, if there's nothing else, anybody wanna announce anything? We will adjourn the Our Lives, Our Stories. Number 11 is a wrap. See you next year. Thank you.